Okay, so this was a project I did for my mother actually, and I actually spent a couple of days over at hers to fit a couple of doors. So recently they had, well, I say recently, it was about 12 months ago, they had a kitchen fitted, and she wanted to change the doors from some old Sapele veneered doors, solid doors, to something a little bit different. And she picked out these quite nice doors actually, with this little sort of eclipse in the middle. So I took all the packaging off the doors, double checked the measurements of the openings, and lined up the new door to the space. So once I got it cut to size, I put my hinge jig to set on the existing mortises in the door lining. That way I can adjust the jig so that when I transfer it over to the doors, the slots line up on the door. So just lined them up and skimmed around the mortises in the lining just so that they're guaranteed to be in the right size and depth for the new hinges. And then I can just take the hinge jig off and line it straight up onto the door. So I use a 12mm cutter in my router to route the new hinge mortises in the new door. It's a fairly quick operation once the jig's set up. And then what I can do is square off those rounded corners, fix the hinges to the door, and then just line it up. So at this point I'm just putting one screw into the lining. That way I've not got to take out 12 screws to take the door off, because it will need to come off a couple of times yet. So once I've got it swinging and I'm happy with the size, I'm just basically tinkering with the leading edge here, and I'm only taking literally about 1/4 millimetre off each time, just to get a nice consistent line, parallel gap between the edge of the door and the lining. Now this house was built in the mid-60s, so the linings aren't particularly square, but they weren't too bad. I've seen a lot worse in modern houses. Now whilst the door's on and swinging, what I've done is I've marked where the mortise latch needs to go for the door handle, and I just put in the lock jig onto the door so I can route out for the mortise latch and the latch plate. Another thing I do while the door's up at this stage is just scribe a line to the floor and the bottom of the door when it's closed, and then I can just take off 1mm just to get a parallel line where I need it to fit, and then whilst it's off I give the door a nice rub down. You can actually see a video of me making this little hand sanding pad from an old random orbit sander. And then it's back to just filling the door back into the opening, double checking that I'm happy with the way everything lines up. You notice I've drilled out for the mortise latch here, and also the spindle for the handles, and just fitting the latch into the hole. So once that's all in and lined up and fixed in place, then I can then put the handles in place. Make sure they're parallel to the edge of the door, and then I pre-drill, and I always use a hand screwdriver, no power tools for putting these little screws in, because they do have a tendency to be slotted, and also to cam out and tear up the head of the screw, which obviously destroys the appearance of the screws. So this is the second of 3 doors that needed attention, and I've basically done exactly the same thing on this second door. This one's into the hallway, made sure that it swings nicely, and I'm just fitting out for the handle. Using the mortise latch itself, I use the combination square to mark where I need my spindle hole, and then I drill through from both sides. This avoids any tear out on the face of the door, because obviously the last thing you want is to tear out all the oak and it to be a bigger splash than the size of the cover plate on the handle. So fixing the handles in exactly the same way, in between slopes of T. You never really noticed how much people go through doors until you're sat in a doorway fixing a door onto its hinges. Another little thing I like to do, particularly with slotted screws, is I always line the slots up either all vertically or all horizontally. So I'm just putting the last of the screws in now because I'm happy with where the door fits. And then I'll take off this bit of blue tape. That's in to hold in just a couple of pieces of cardboard just to make sure the hinges line up. So the last door was this fire door, which was the biggest and heaviest of all of them, as you'd expect. Now, originally when this garage extension was put on, that fire door went straight into the garage, so it doesn't actually need to be a fire door now, but no point changing it because it fits the hole. Now what I did was, rather than change the whole door, which would have been quite expensive, I've just laminated a piece of 4mm oak-faced MDF. It's cut slightly oversized to the door, and then using some spray contact adhesive on both sides, just laminate that on, and then I can go around with a flush trim bit around the edge of the door, and then obviously the aperture for the window as well. So I took the glass out, that way I wouldn't either drill through the glass and break it or hit it with the router cutter. It is quite a dusty job, this MDF, and I didn't actually have a mask on because I didn't have one with me. It's not ideal, and I didn't have a way to get the extractor onto the router while I was routing it, which was a bit of a pain. So it was basically a case of hold your breath, then leave it for half an hour or so for the dust to settle before sweeping it up. So once everything had been swept up, then it was just a case of giving it a rub down, and then I used some 50mm iron-on edge banding just around the edge of the door to obviously hide the fact that the original core was whatever it was, I don't know. So this is the product I use. It's Tensorgrip L12, which is their premium spray adhesive. And you spray it onto both sides, and then you can see the old door and then with the new facing. Obviously in that picture, there's a different door to the one you see me doing, but it's done in exactly the same way.